Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Caroline, and here we talk about books, life, and we have a lot of fun. Let's get into it. All right, so today I have a really fun video planned for y'all, and if you read the title of the video, you already know what it's about. It's one of my favorite videos to watch from all of my favorite booktubers, and I've tried to compile a unique list of books I haven't really heard of. And today we're going to be going over all of the 2025 new releases that I'm looking forward to the most. This is mainly going to be thriller, sci-fi, and nonfic. There is a couple romances thrown in there, so a little bit for everybody. And I have tried to make a list of some books that I haven't really heard of before or heard anyone talk about on a video like this. And hopefully this gives you some good ideas of what to add to your TBR for this year, because Lord knows we all need a bigger TBR. And yeah, let me know if there's any of these books that are already on your list, if you're looking forward to them, or if there were some that maybe you've never heard of that I brought your attention to. Let's talk about it. Basically, how this video is going to be formatted is I'm going to go month by month on which books I'm looking forward to and give just a really short reason why I want to read it or why I'm looking forward to it. Go and read the synopsis if you are interested based on the tropes I tell you or the one sentence little gist I give you. And yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm just going to be doing like the first half of the year. We're already going to be almost through January when I post this. So I'm not going to include January releases. Some of the ones that I was really looking forward to in this past month is The Crash by Frida. Hello! I'm so excited for that book. I gotta go get it. It's releasing on the 28th. So I know that that one is one that I'm really, really excited for. And there's a couple others. If I remember them, I'll put them up right here when I'm editing. But all the pictures are going to be up here. There's a couple that I don't have the covers of. They haven't been released. And there's also a couple that don't have a blurb released on them yet. So I'm just going to be telling you why I included them from my own personal viewpoint. And yeah, let's just get started. We're going to start in February. So the first February date is the 4th. So these next two books I'm going to be talking about are coming out on February 4th. The first one is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. If you know me and you watched my last video, you know I love Ali Hazelwood. I have not really met a book from her that I don't like, and this one seems so interesting to me. It's her, I think it's going to be her first sports romance, and it's actually going to be a swimmer romance, which, need I say more? Need I say more? Has anybody heard of a swimmer romance before? I have not. I have not, and I'm pumped. This cover is gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and the sprayed edges, immaculate. I will be getting that. I don't need to know anything else other than that. So I'm really excited for that one. And then another one that's coming out on February 4th that I haven't heard anything about. I just saw it on Amazon one day. I read the synopsis and I was like, that sounds adorable. And that is This Is a Love Story by Jessica Soffer. What I can gather about this book is it is a super cute romance. It's a love story, I guess. It's not really a romance. From the synopsis, it sounds just like The Notebook or very similar to The Notebook. And I love The Notebook. Like, I mean, don't we all? Like, is there anything not to love about The Notebook? So from what I get from the synopsis is it's told in two different timelines. It's current and past history, just like The Notebook is, where you're learning, like, you get to see their life in their old age, but then they're also taking you back through their memories. And it really just looks like a beautiful love story. And I'm a girly who loves romance, but I want it as a subplot. And this one sounds just so pure and wholesome. And it just sounds like it's going to have a lot of life lessons as well. And I'll be reading that one. So check it out. It seems super cute. And it just doesn't sound like much can go wrong. All right, we're going to move on to the 27th of February. I believe that skips one or two Tuesdays. Some of these months, I don't really have anything that I am looking forward to coming out, but there's a couple months that it's like really heavy. So February is a lighter month. The 27th, there's one book coming out. It is Other People's Houses by Claire Mackintosh. Claire Mackintosh, the most, I would say, well-known book of hers is I Let You Go. She is a UK thriller author, and she has a series called DC Morgan. And I think it just follows a detective, obviously, DC Morgan. Like, Caroline, you did not have to say that, you know? Anyway, there isn't a blurb out on this yet. It's the third book in the DC Morgan series. Her first one is The Last Party. The second one is A Game of Lies. I have both of those. And honestly, I don't need to know a synopsis or a blurb on this book. Just knowing that it's from her, I'm going to read it. I'm on her book club list. I'm on her mailing list. Count me in. Count me in, and I'm going to read it. So if you liked I Let It Go, or I Let You Go by her, I would recommend reading that series. All right, let's get into March. March is a heavy month. March is insane. This year overall, the releases are crazy good, and I think it's going to be the best year of new releases I've seen since I've been reading, since 2019. So March 4th is the first Tuesday, I believe. The first one I'm going to talk about, I actually received the ARC of this book last year, and I've already read it. I've already posted my review. You can go see it on Goodreads if y'all want to read it. That is Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. Cara Bastone is the author of Ready or Not. That's a pregnancy, like accidental pregnancy romance. I loved that one. I gave it, I think, a 4.5 star. Promise Me Sunshine was probably my second top romance read of the year, maybe third. Adorable. Like, don't walk to go get this book when it releases on March the 4th. You better run. You better run. Like, first of all, the covers of her books are gorgeous, literally gorgeous. They go so well together. This one, Promise Me Sunshine, is Grumpy Sunshine. It deals very heavily with grief, and I would say after reading it, it reads more literary fiction because you're focusing so much on the grief of her losing her best friend. And it has really strong relationship. It doesn't follow too many characters, but the relationships in this book will break you and build you back up. Like, I had no complaints about this book. Her writing is gorgeous. Everything about it was gorgeous. Infinity stars. Run to the bookstore on March 4th to get that book. Okay? Okay. The next one that I'm really looking forward to on March 4th is You Killed Me First by John Mars. John Mars is another UK thriller author. He also writes dystopian sci-fi and just like mind-bending plots. I love them. Love them. I think I've read 3 of his books. My husband just got done reading The Minders by him, which is one of those like sci-fi futuristic dystopian reads. I didn't love that one. I tried to buddy read it with him and I had to put it down. I couldn't get through it. That's okay. They may not all be for you, but I would recommend him as an author. He's a super fast-paced thriller author. The new one coming out, You Killed Me First, I read the synopsis and honestly I was a little confused on what it's actually about, but I don't really need to know to read from him. So if you like John Mars, if you like Frida, if you like fast-paced, short chapters, multiple POVs, pick up John Mars. I've seen really great reviews for some people I really trust who've gone the ARC, and they have rated this one like one of his best that he's ever written. So count me in. Count me in. Like, I don't need to know anything else. Okay. The last one on the 4th, The Unworthy by Augustina Bazterrica. It's a translated novel. It is feminist horror meets religious horror, and it also is environmental dystopia. That is genius. That is genius. I really did not enjoy Tender as the Flesh. I did not think that I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was, quite frankly. It was just like a nasty story, honestly, but like it wasn't as graphic as I thought it was. This one, I am so excited for it. Religious horror is one of my favorite genres, and I don't see it very often. So you better believe I'm running to the bookstore to get The Unworthy on March 4th. And I will be reading it. I know it's going to be a short read, and I don't have anything from that synopsis that doesn't sound super enticing and captivating to me. Definitely go check it out, but check trigger warnings. Her books are really like, they dive into really uncomfortable topics. They dive into topics that just, I think a lot of people would be bothered by them. It's not for everyone. Also, the translation in her books is sometimes hard to understand, at least for me. And that's, I think, what lent me not liking Tender is the Flesh as much, is because I didn't feel like it read very well. But the premises of her stories, like, girl, where do you get these ideas from? You got it. You got it. She's a creative genius, in my opinion. Okay, the next Tuesday, or no, it couldn't be the next Tuesday in March. It's going to have to skip over a couple. The next one I'm going to talk about is March 20th. And I actually don't think this is a Tuesday because this book is written by an author who's indie published. So I think she just releases her books when she's ready. Works for me. So March 20th is Save Your Breath. This is by Candy Steiner. This is the fourth book in the Kings of Ice series, which is her new hockey romance series. She wrote a football romance series prior to this, and I know she has a lot of different romance books. These are super, super spicy romances. So keep that in mind. If you're not into super heavy smut, this one's not going to be for you. I read these books so fast. She writes really long books, but they're just so like mindless, and she's such a good writer, and she builds characters so well. So I know I'm going to love it. There's no blurb out for it. All I know is it's hockey romance. They're interconnected, so all of the hockey guys are like on the same teams. They're all kind of friends, or they've known each other in the past. And so if you like hockey romance, this is your series. Mind you, it's number 4. You can read them separately. They're only interconnected, so you're not going to like ruin it for yourself, but just so you know, it is number 4. March 25th is one of the best release days of the year, in my opinion. March 25th is going to bankrupt me. I'm going to have no money in my bank account after March 25th. Mark my words. The first book that's coming out on March 25th is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. Y'all have probably seen this book around. It's been announced for a while that it's going to be released. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on this one. I also got the ARC for this one. I just saw a scathing review on it the other day, and it kind of put me off from reading it. So I'm going to get to it before the release date, but it's just, I'm kind of iffy on it. It's supposedly a true crime based story, and it seems like it's pretty solidly based on the actual Idaho 4 unalivings and that whole tragedy. And so I am hesitant because it's even set in Idaho. So I read a review that said that it was literally just a remake of that story. And I've already read and done a lot of, like, I've watched a lot of videos, I've listened to a lot of podcasts, I've read books about the Idaho 4. So I'm just a little bit hesitant, but basically we're following a college student. A murder has happened in a town in Idaho. She goes to try and figure it out, and it's a triple like murder mystery. And yeah, I'm gonna see how it is. Y'all will see my review. Like I said, I am gonna finish the ARC before the release date, so I'll get my review posted. And if you like true crime, maybe it'll be for you. Okay, the next one is probably my number 1 most anticipated release of the year. If you know me, you know I love Harlan. Harlan Coben is probably right now my number 2 favorite author of all time. Definitely my number 1 thriller author. He is so talented in writing mystery thrillers. They're so easy to read. They're so fast paced. I can say no wrong about this man. I just got done reading the first book in this series because I got sent the ARC for this one, and that is Nobody's Fool. This is number 2 in the Detective Sammy Cures series. I will say I went out to get the first one to read it before I read the ARC, thinking I needed to read it to understand this next one, and I don't think it was necessary. Sammy Cures isn't even a person in the first one, from what I remember. There is a Detective Cures, but it's not Sammy Cures. So just so you know, I don't think it's necessary to pick up Fool Me Once, which is the first one in this series. But yes, this is number 2. It is basically a person disappears, or did they? And that's what the first one's about too. And it I was hesitant, but so good. Like, it's such a good plot. And so I'm really excited for this one. My review will be up on that one as well before March 25th. So go check that out on my Fable and my Goodreads. The links will be down in the description. You already know. Let's connect on there. I love talking to people and seeing y'all's reviews and what y'all are currently reading. All right, the next one, you also will know if you've seen my last video. Steve Kavanaugh is one of my favorite thriller authors. He is the author who wrote Kill for Me, Kill for You. And that one came out this year. It was really popular. That's the first one I read. This one that's releasing this year is Witness 8. This is number 8 in the Eddie Flynn series. I'm not reading the synopsis. I just read number 1, The Defense, for my 25 and 25, and I don't want to kill the rest of the story for me. So if y'all read up to number 7 and y'all want to know what number 8's about, it is coming out on March 25th. You can find the synopsis on Goodreads. I don't want to spoil it for myself. Next is Hate Won't Win. This is a political memoir by Mallory McMorrow. I don't think I've ever said this on this channel, but I am a communications major who's going to focus in political science. I find politics fascinating. I know I'm crazy. I get it. But I read a lot of political memoirs. I read a lot of political nonfiction. I find it very fascinating. And I like to be knowledgeable on the things going on around me. And I think this one sounds just really, really insightful and informative in the best way. Mallory McMorrow was a Michigan senator, and she kind of just shows and talks about how to be an effective constituent and an advocate for yourself, your community, the people around you. And that just sounds amazing to me. So I'm definitely going to be picking that one up. I just actually found out about it a couple of days ago. Definitely is not for everyone, but if you like memoirs and you like learning about how to just be a better advocate for the people around you, this may be a good one for you. It sounds super interesting. The next one is also a memoir. It is My Search for Meaning by Amanda Knox. If you don't know who Amanda Knox is, definitely go look her story up. It's very fascinating. She was involved in a true crime scandal, I believe like years ago. And she basically was overseas doing like a foreign exchange kind of thing. Her roommate ended up passing away. Amanda was wrongfully convicted in a foreign court. She spent years in prison. And she's written a lot of books post that about, what she learned from that experience, how she's moving forward with her life after that experience. Looking for forgiveness for people who hurt her and harmed her. And I can't imagine having that happen and then going back to normal life after that. So I think this will be a good insight into how she's moved forward and obviously her search for meaning. And she has other books out too. So if you want to read her other memoirs before that, they are out. I think I'm going to start with this one. That's it for March. March it's a really heavy month. There's even some I didn't put in here that I wanted to, just because there's already so many books coming out in March. Sorry, Maverick is laying back down. Okay. All right. Moving on to April. It's all right. April 1st is the first release Tuesday of the month. The first book I'm going to talk about, I also received the ARC for, and I don't have my review up. It'll actually go up on March 31st. It's written, I have it read. I did post my star rating. I gave it 5 stars. I honestly think it's going to be really hard to beat this thriller book for me this year. This one is a cult thriller, and it is bizarre. Okay, like before we go into all of this, before you open this book, please understand, like, it is nuts. It's insane. It was so, like, confusing at times. I just, like, Julia Bart, she also wrote The Writing Retreat. That was her debut novel last year. That one I also received the ARC for, and that one was so good. It was one of those like one setting thrillers. An author goes and stays at her favorite author's mansion to try and win like an apprenticeship with her, and things go wrong as they always do in thrillers. And it's just she writes the weirdest characters and the most like bizarre characters, and you love them but you hate them all at the same time, and I love that about her. I just love her writing, and The Last Session is no different. The Last Session by Julia Bartz, it's coming out on April 1st. This one of my probably my favorite types of thrillers are cult thrillers. I am fascinated by cults. I've done a lot of research into them. I have several nonfiction books focusing on cults and doing like deep dives into past cults and current cults. And I just think the whole idea and premise is like super intriguing. And so then when people write fictional ones and they can make it as crazy as they want, I mean, obviously I'm going to love that. So I saw this one and I just got really excited. The cover is so beautiful. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to turn you off of the book or give away too much, but just forewarning, cult thriller, super wacky, so deranged, and like it will leave you staring at the wall and reconsidering who you are at the end, because it takes you for a ride, like a ride. So heads up. Then this next one, I have never heard anything about it. I wanted to put some sci-fi on here, so I was kind of doing a deep dive into who's releasing new sci-fi this year. And sci-fi, I feel like, isn't a super big genre right now. It's kind of, except like The Martian by Andy Weir, and probably Red Rising. I think that one's considered sci-fi dystopian, scythe, things like that. Well, this one sounds so good. If y'all have heard about the simulation theory, this book is a sci-fi thriller fiction about the simulation theory, and the characters you're following are actually traveling through simulations. That is When We Were Real by Daryl Gregory. Never heard of this author. I've never read anything by him. All I know is that synopsis sounds amazing. I want to read about people traveling through simulations. That's so crazy. And it's also following several different characters at different points in their life, different professions as they're traveling through the simulations. And it seems like they learn a lot of life lessons, because the whole idea of simulations is it's a different time. You're literally traveling through time. And yeah, it just sounds really, really interesting. And if you like the simulation theory, you watch, like, you listen to people like that, Neil deGrasse Tyson, people like that, this one sounds right up your alley, and I'm going to read it. And I love the cover of it too. I love sci-fi covers. I think they're the coolest covers to come out of fiction. But yeah, check that one out if you like sci-fi. I think that's it for April 1st. The next Tuesday I have is April 15th. This is another one I haven't seen anything about. This is The Death of Us by Abigail Dean. It's a domestic thriller. If I see a domestic thriller that has a prose or a premise that I think I would like, I'm going to read it. I love domestic thrillers. I think the whole like marriage gone wrong thing, it is overdone, but I feel like there's so many avenues you can take it. And this one kind of sounds like that. It sounds like it's going to be a little more literary fiction with subplots of domestic thriller. And that sounds right up my alley. It kind of just follows two people who've been married for a while, and it takes you through what tests and what breaks a marriage. And sign me up, sign me up. That's the only one on April 15th. I have two on April 29th. The first one is Hello, Juliet by Samantha M. Bailey. I read A Friend in the Dark by Samantha M. Bailey this year, and I loved it. I was not expecting many things from it. I bought it off Amazon when it went on a really good sale because I like to do that so I can find new books that I've never heard of. And I would recommend that one. That one I believe I gave a 5-star. It was super twisty, a super like relational thriller. Like the thrilling aspects are the relationships, and I really enjoy that in a thriller. This one, Hello, Juliet, is it's a Hollywood thriller, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this one as much. I tend not to like rock star, movie star, even romances. They're just not really my thing. I just don't typically like as much. This one, basically, this Hollywood actress, I believe, or somebody involved in Hollywood, she gets thrown into like a Hollywood scandal. She tries to get out of it in her future life. And now there's been an expose written about her or in the show she was in. And now she is brought back into this Hollywood like expose scandal situation. And it sounds really interesting. Also, Samantha and Bailey, her books tend to be shorter. She writes super fast paced. The chapters are a lot shorter. And I just really liked her character building, and I think the plot is something that I've never really heard before, so that always intrigues me. And then the last one of April is the 5th book in the Kings of Sin series, King of Envy. I have read the first two. The third one, King of Greed, it's on my 25 and 25, so I'll be getting to that one this year. I pretty much read anything by Anna, just anything. I'm gonna read it. I loved the Twisted series. I have her first series of the like If We Were series, and then I have the Striker as well, and I think I'm probably going to enjoy the Striker the most because I just like sports romance and soccer romance. Like I don't feel like we see that ever, and she's just really talented. I love her whole like viewpoint and the characters she creates. And the Kings of Sin series is primarily billionaire romance or rich guy romance, and this one, King of Envy, is an arranged marriage, and the girl's already engaged to someone else, so it's kind of the I want what I can't have, but she's in an arranged marriage. So I think it'll be super interesting to figure out like how she gets out of that and gets to have the NMC, because I don't know how Anna's gonna pull that off, but I believe in her. I believe in her. And yeah, that wraps up April. April's a good month. Then I'm just going to go through May and June, and then we're going to stop. I don't have a lot after June that's been released yet. I'll make a part 2 of this video later on in the year once more gets announced, because right now I just don't have enough to think it's worth it to go into July and on. But May is probably the lightest book release month of the year I've seen so far. Just overall, I don't see a lot coming out in May. But I found 3 to give y'all. May 6th, Frida's second new book is coming out for the year. This girl, when does she eat? When does she live? I don't know. I don't know. This girl, she is writing books like crazy. And you do it, girl. You do it, because they're good. They get me every time. I'm so mad at her. I've stopped reading her books because I can't figure them out. And that's annoying for me. And so I've stopped reading some of her books. But The Tenant is, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it's going to be part of that new series thing she's doing. Boyfriend, the coworker, the crash, the tenant. I'm assuming it'll be like a creepy tenant. Shocker. So I don't really want to read the back of her books because I just like to go in and I read them in one sitting and I'll figure it out eventually. But if y'all didn't know, Frida does have 2 books lined up this year. One's in January, one's in May. And she fed us in May because we aren't getting anything else in May. So Thank you, Frida. A Missing Half is the other one coming out on the 6th. This one is by Ashley Flowers. I actually wasn't gonna add this one into this video, and then I went back and reread the synopsis last night, and I was like, wait, girl, that actually sounds really good. This one it actually is based on the real life true crime podcast, Crime Junkie. I actually have never listened to Crime Junkie. I'm a Crime Weekly girl. I love Stephanie Harlow and Derek Levasseur. Love them to death. But this one, I love any kind of thriller that has a podcast element. And I had no idea that this one, I think the co-author is actually the podcast host of Crime Junkie, which is genius. Like, her perspective is going to be so cool to hear turned into a fiction book. And it sounds like basically two sisters come together to solve a crime. And yeah, I think it's going to be told from both of their perspectives. That just sounds so good. So if you didn't know what that one was, and I haven't read anything else by Ashley Flowers, so I haven't read her writing before, but that'll probably be the first one I read from her. That sounds so good. Then on May 20th, that's the one other week that I found one that I thought was interesting. That is Feeders by Matt Serafini. This one is actually considered horror. It is social media horror, which, yeah, that is so fitting for the time. I've never read Matt Serafini. I don't know if he has any other books. This is, like I said, social media horror. Basically, it follows an influencer who wants to go and like social media famous, and she figures out that she has to do some pretty crazy things to get that fame. And I don't know what those crazy things are, but it sounds like it's going to be good. And the cover is amazing. And I'm going to buy it because of the cover. So yeah, I do that. And then the biggest month of the year is June. June, y'all better save your money up for June, because June is packed full of good stuff. June 10th, Riley Sager is releasing his new book, With a Vengeance. This one I'm a little iffy on. I think I've said it in another one of my videos. I'm not a big one setting thriller person. I don't even like watching movies that are set in one setting. I feel like it loses my attention. This one is a one setting thriller. It takes place on a train, and it is the span of a trip, I believe, from the East Coast to the West Coast. And people are out for revenge. And you think it's the main character, but then there's another twist. And the only reason I think I might like this is because my other favorite Riley Sager book is Survive the Night. And that's also a one setting thriller where she is trying to survive an abduction in a car. And this one sounds kind of similar, so that's why I added it to this list. I've DNF'd a couple of his other books. Survive the Night is really the only one that's worked for me, and it's one of the ones that doesn't work for anyone else. So this one's going to be a hit or a miss, and we'll find out together. And then the next one, this is an author I really enjoy. I found him last year. I read The Kind Worth Killing by him. That is Peter Swanson. This one has horrible ratings so far from the ARC readers, and that breaks my heart. I really enjoy his writing, and this one is a domestic thriller, and it's told in reverse timeline. So you find out, I think, the crime first, and you work back. And supposedly, from the synopsis, what I can get is it's gonna just be super crazy. The wife wants to unalive the husband, but you're learning that in reverse timeline, and supposedly towards the end, we're going to find out a major crisis that happened in their early life, and that's going to tie it all together, and that sounds so good, but I am a little hesitant because of the ratings. Still going to give it a read because he's one of my favorite authors. I love when thrillers are reverse timeline, because you kind of already know what's going to happen, but it's those like small, intricate details that make thrillers hit. And when they're told in reverse, I feel like it hits so much better if it can be done right. And that's what we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. I trust Peter but we're gonna have to see. The next one, I almost died. I was like on the floor when I found out this person was releasing another book. That is Josie Silver. Josie Silver was the first book I read to start my reading journey post high school. When I was back in when I was in college, she was the first book I picked up from Half Price Books, and that was One Day in December. And that book just awoke my love for romance. If you haven't read that book, you've got to read it this Christmas. It's so adorable. It's set in London, and it is so cute. Like, it is so cute. But this one she's coming out with this year, that is Slow Burn Summer, and she hasn't written any summer romances, so I'm super intrigued. I read her other winter romance this past January, this month. I read it, and it was Winter in New York. So y'all will see that in my wrap up. But I'm so excited for a summer romance from Josie Silver because she writes like the most beautiful love stories, and they're always so complex. And the familial relationship she builds in her stories and the friendship relationship she builds in her stories, unmatched. Unmatched. This one, Slow Burn Summer, is a second chance-esque, workplace romance-esque. Basically, we're following a guy who writes a book. His publisher finds out, or producer, whoever it is, she finds out that he wrote this book, and she's like, wait, I want that to be my book. So she convinces him to basically she wants to produce this book. She wants to be the one to put it in publication and take it as her own. And they decide to, I believe, make like a pen name and not take either of them not take credit for it. He still writes it, she publishes it, but then they're like, wait, how are we going to go on a media and press tour if none of us are actually the author? So they hire an outside person to be this like fake author, and then another person gets thrown in, and the fake author makes a relationship with that other person, and the guy who wrote the book, is in love with the fake author. It seems so messy. I can't even explain it well because I don't understand it well. But I'm excited for it just because I've loved everything Josie Silver has written. And I'm so glad she's writing something other than like a holiday winter romance. But yes, Josie Silver, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The gods are on my side. I about died when I saw that you were releasing other books, so thank you. And then June 17th, there's one book coming out, and that is, I just found out about this one the other day. Like, I just found out, and I could cry. It's Liv Constantine's new book, Don't Open Your Eyes. I have read The Senator's Wife by them. It's a political thriller. Need I say more? It was beautiful, like beautifully written. I was enthralled by that story. And like I told y'all earlier, if it's political, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. This one that she's writing, Don't Open Your Eyes, it's not political. This one, it sounds really interesting. Basically, this lady's dreams become her realities, or more, her nightmares become her realities. She's having very vivid dreams of bad things happening in her life, and then they start happening in real life. Ooh, that would be tough. Like, that would be tough. So I'm really interested to read that one, and the cover is really great, and they write super short, fast-paced thriller novels. So if you've read anything from them, pick this one up. It sounds super duper interesting. And then the very last release Tuesday that I'm going to talk about is June 24th. And I actually think this one may be my most highly anticipated read of the year, or release of the year, and that is Shanora Williams' new book. Like, I can't contain my excitement. I really can't. I saw that she was going to be releasing a new romance book this year, and I was gutted when I didn't find a new thriller book by her coming out this year. But she fed me. She fed me. The cover of this one is also so much better than her other covers. I don't know what happened, but I'm so happy for her. Like, I'm so happy for her that she's making it in this thriller genre, because this girl is so talented at writing thrillers. If you've read her romances, check out her thrillers. The new one is Whispers of the Lake, and it's set in North Carolina, and a person goes missing under suspicious circumstances, and it's the best friend of the main character, and we're following her trying to like figure out the mystery and figure out what really happened and why she just vanished. And I'm gonna read that one as soon as it comes out. I'm running to Barnes and Noble to get that book when it comes out. Then the final one, y'all have heard about this one. There's no way you haven't. That's Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. That is her new book coming out this year. It is actually a lot more complex when I read about it than I thought it was. It's going to be like an intertwined timeline of 3 different women who are connected by the same man. And it's going to have domestic aspects, it sounds like. It's going to kind of have all of the classic thriller tropes that everyone loves. And I really like Lisa Jewell's writing. And so I'm going to have to pick that one up. It's probably the thriller I've seen the most that everyone's excited for this year. And I'm excited for it. I just have other authors that I love more that are coming out with new books. And y'all know them. Harlan, Megan Golden, if she comes out with a book, Shanora Williams, John Mars. Those are my core. Those are my people. Those are my authors. So if y'all see Megan Golden come out with a book, please let me know, because I haven't seen anything. But I would really appreciate it if y'all see it before me, if you would let me know. All right, guys, that is all I have for y'all today. Hit that subscribe button, hit the little reminder bell so you can know when I post videos. I'm going to try to be posting 2 times a week, but definitely every Wednesday. I hope y'all have had a great week, and I can't wait to see y'all in the next one. Bye.